So next thing that we're going to look at in Nim is the idea of procedures. Now, if you come from languages such as C, or if you're thinking of languages such as JavaScript, TypeScript, etc., you're probably more used to the idea of functions. Procedures is more of a kind of older concept. Nim procedures and functions are really interchangeable. There is a func keyword, we'll come into that later on, but that's really for pure functions with no side effects, right? So that's the sort of world of functional programming, whereas procedures can return a value in this case or not return a value. But for just now, until we get into sort of pure functions, just sort of consider a procedure as a function as you would do normally. So to do that, we can do something like var equals 10, we'll have y equals 20, and what we will do here is build a very simple sum function. So we'll say proc sum, I am going to accept a parameter a, and I'm going to accept a parameter b. So I need to define the type, so I need to provide that type annotation, because in that procedure or function, I don't know what my type is in advance, and I can't infer it, so I'm going to have to annotate it with saying that I'm expecting an int. This is very similar to something like TypeScript. And then again, I can do b, so I'm going to accept parameter b, and that is going to be inferred as a type of int. And again, from a return value, I'm going to return an int back, and I need to define that it's going to expect a return value back. So in this case, I've got parameter a, parameter b, both of it integers, and it's going to return an int. So this should seem pretty familiar if you come from a world of something like TypeScript or etc. Good news is I can obviously do it in one line if I want to. So if I want to, I can do a plus b. If I want to echo out the value, I can just do echo sum x or y. So before I run that, just to clarify, a procedure or a function is defined with the keyword proc, then it's its name, and then I have to set my parameters, which are comma separated. In this case, a and b. They're type annotated, so I have to provide my type annotations, and then the result is type annotated as well. And then in this particular case, the result can be inferred from the last statement. So in this case, I'm doing an a plus b. So I don't need to provide a return statement for when I'm returning something from the last statement. In this case, it's just going to come back. So if I save this, let's clear here, I'll run my program, and you see it's come back with 30. If I want to, I could do a return here like this, and this would equally work. And you see it's coming back with 30. So return statements are supported, but I don't need to if I'm setting the last value here. And again, if it's a single statement return, I can put it on one statement. Now, of course, I don't need that return here if I don't want to as well. I could remove this, run that again. You see it's come back with 30 because this is the last statement. But if I wanted to do something like var c equals a plus b, again, I could do a c like that and then run this. It's going to come back with 30 because this is the last statement. But if I wanted to return a 20, which is the b here, then b would be the last statement. So, but of course, the simpler thing to do is do a return. Now, of course, if I wanted to, I could move my return before the var. This piece of code here would never get executed. And then you see it's going to return the 20. So the return in this case, even though I've got some code after this, because I've put a return before that, it's going to ignore the last statement and the return takes precedence. So again, if I want to come back to normal, you're going to see it comes back with 30. So there you go. So the key thing to remember there is if I want to, I don't need to put a return statement. I can just use my last statement to do the return. Again, really good for functional programming, very similar to other languages. But if I want to be explicit, then I can do a return, which is good for control flow, etc. So it's really up to you in what style. I think if you're kind of more in the kind of functional programming part at this point, or doing inline stuff, etc., you're going to lean towards last statement, try and get it in a single line. But of course, if you've been a little bit more procedural, then you're going to, and using control flow, then you'll use the kind of return statement. Other things to remember is this idea of scope. Remember the offside rule. Indentation defines what my scope is. So if I move this to over here. A plus B is not in the scope of this sum, for example. In order for that to be in the scope, it needs to be following the proper indentation. So again, I could go return C plus. So I could say something like var C equals A plus B, and then I could do return C plus 10. That is going to be okay. If I move that to over here, C is no longer in scope because C is within the scope of my procedure. This is actually more in the global scope here, and you see I'm going to get a squiggly. Return is not allowed. And again, similarly, if I try and access C from over here, so if I go var D equals C plus 10, I'm going to get an error undeclared identifier C because that is in a different scope from the sum here. So again, the offside rule obviously applies in this case, very similar to Python. Last thing I kind of want to point out in this case is we did the A plus B and we did the return. There is actually a secret keyword, which is result. So if I do a result equals A plus B, then that is what's going to be returned as well. So result is when I do the A plus B without the result or without a return, the last statement, what's secretly happening underneath the hood is setting this value of result. So if I run my code again, you can see 10 plus 20 equals 30. And of course, if I want to, I can put my result in here from an indentation perspective, result equals A plus B. And then I could do a result equals result plus 10. We can run that again, and it's going to come back. And of course, the result can be set at any time. So if I want to put in something like an echo hello world, even though I don't have a last statement here, I've not done a return because I've set result, then the value is going to work fine. So if I clear this, run this again, you're going to see 10 plus 20 equals 30, and my hello world appears before that. So again, you've got last statement, you've got result, and you've got return. Next thing that's really fun about procedures in nim is it actually supports overloading as well. So if I want to create another sum function and then I just put C and I want to have that as an int, and then in this case I can do an A plus B plus C. So now I've got two declarations of my sum, and of course if I want to do it twice, I can do an XYZ. We can set Z equals 30. And of course now I'm calling sum in this case because I'm going to provide two parameters. It will call this version, which is A plus B. And then in this case, because I'm providing three parameters, it will call this one here, which is A plus B plus C. So in the first example, so the first echo is going to return 30, and then in the next example is going to return 60. So again, if I run my code one more time, you can see 30 and 60. So again, procedural overloading completely supported within nim. What is also really cool about nim as well is if I want to, I can forward declare my functions. So I can separate out the definition from the declaration, which again is going to be really useful in things like modules. So one of the things that I could do if I wanted to is if I took this echo and moved that to here, you see I'm going to get an error, which makes sense because I've not declared my implementation to down here. But if I take this function declaration, or procedure declaration, move that to the top. So I'm saying I'm going to have a procedure called sum, and then down here I'm going to provide what the implementation of that procedure is. Then this is going to work fine. So again, we'll remove the Z here just to make sure this is all good. And then if I run my code, you can see it comes back with 30. So again, this is where I'm separating the declaration of the function from the implementation. And again, that's the same sort of technique that's used in Pascal. It's also used in C languages as well. But again, very useful if you want to start to build modules, etc. Now that is procedures. Now I did mention there was a thing called funcs, remember? So let's bring that back here. I've got this procedure sum A, B here. Actually, let's just put the vars before the procedures for a second. Let's show what the major difference is between a func and a proc. So in this case, if you look here, I'm calling echo sum xy. So I'm taking the value x10, y at 20, and then I'm passing that through. So within here, I've got two parameters, a and b, and then I'm adding them together, which is cool. But actually, technically, because this procedure lives in the same scope over here. Technically, these are global variables, and therefore there's nothing stopping some accessing this. So if I wanted to, I could just do some x plus y, because these exist out. And then if I run my code again, you can see it's going to run back with 30. This is not a pure function. And the reason it's not a pure function is there's side effects. There is something that is going on in this function, is accessing stuff that's not purely within the scope of this function. And that's the difference between a proc and a func. So if I turn that proc into a func, you see I'm going to get an error. And it's saying the sum can have side effects. And that's because I'm accessing the x and the y. So if I want to be purely functional, I can then say, okay, this is a func, and then it's going to do A and B. And then if I run this now, it's going to work, which is cool, which is 30. So it works, but it means that the function cannot have any side effects. So it cannot access anything outside of its scope.